Chapter 2 is getting into graphical descriptions of data. And really it's sort of a short chapter. It should be relatively easy for you. Some of the major topics out of Chapter 2 are frequency distributions. Now, you're going to have to give frequency distributions some time to go through and work through those to make sure you understand how to build those up from scratch, but it's fairly intuitive. You're basically building up a table to describe the data in some way. In Chapter 2, really, as it says, description of data is all still descriptive statistics. We're just describing the data in some way, and this chapter enables us to look at that visually when we're talking about graphs perhaps or tables. The other part of the chapter gets into basic graphing. Two important types of graphs in statistics that are key are looking at histograms and understanding histograms. Histograms are linked back to the frequency distributions. You should be able to see the connection there. And also stem and leaf plots. So stem and leaf plots are also important. So be sure and look those two over. It also separates out and has a brief discussion about time series data versus cross-sectional data. Then those lead into time series graphs and cross-sectional graphs. Time series is going to be data over time. So we can look at a graph in terms of time or years, months, quarters, what have you. Cross-sectional data looks at over a distinct population at a point in time. As you get into higher level statistics, a lot of statistics that get used at upper levels are called what's called pooled cross-sectional data and graphs, which is encompassing both time series and cross-sectional data together. The last part that is of some importance in Chapter 2 is the brief discussion about shapes of graphs and what those shapes mean. So you should have some knowledge about looking at a graph and understanding something about its shape and how that reflects what the data is saying to us. These shapes can be uniform across the distinct population. Data is oftentimes symmetric, and later on in the course we'll talk at length about the normal distribution, which is in fact symmetric. And then data oftentimes is going to be skewed either to the right or to the left. So be sure you're comfortable with a right skewed data set and also a left skewed data set. Sometimes right skewed is called positive and left skewed is called negative, but understanding shapes. Chapter 2 is relatively straightforward. It should be easy to understand. Hopefully you're working through the homework in Chapter 2, and the quiz in Chapter 2 shouldn't be too difficult. And once we get into Chapter 3 and 4, these are very much more of out of the introductory chapters and into some of the heart of descriptive statistics and into some of the key variables and statistics that we're going to need to understand as we move forward. So that's the end of Chapter 2. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Bye-bye.